Perfect.
Looks great.
Okay, we got it.
Hey, it's sunny where you're at, but we're both
It is
even.
sunny.
It's dark here. How you doing, man? How you been doing during the quarantine?
Good. Yeah. I work from home. Everyone on my staff's virtual.
Right.
And I live out west, so I'm on a chunk of land. So like honestly, we were kind of like designed for quarantine. Bunch of introverts that live here anyways. Like really not much changed about our lives. We're lucky.
Nice. Well, I wanted to make sure everybody knew your background. You've had a lot of success with DealMachine, and you actually do marketing for other companies, and you use DealMachine to do that marketing. So could you give us 5 minutes introduction as to like, how did you even get started in this, and then what do you do now, and what's the success you've had?
Yeah, great. So I started 7 years ago. So I started, my first 5 years were spent working for somebody else. So we were primarily flippers, and our primary deal sources were like MLS agents, buying deals from other wholesalers, and flipping and things like that. Just over 2 years ago, I went out on my own, and I started a much more marketing-based business. Along the way, started doing driving for dollars and hiring full-time driving for dollars people. And it's been a great source of leads for us. Last year, 2019, it was like either 39 or 40% of my list-based deals came from driving for dollars. And so, and in total, we did 2 million in revenue last year. And so it was a lot of deals. So yeah, we have loved DealMachine. And then essentially, along the way, figured out some good systems that work really well in terms of marketing, getting the phone to ring, the things that everybody has a hard time with: lead generation, getting the phone to ring with quality, motivated sellers. And so we started partnering with people in other markets. So essentially, we get the phone to ring for them, and they take it from there.
Gotcha. When you do that,
using my same models and systems here.
Mm-hmm. So when you do that, do you actually have a driver on the ground in their market? You must have.
Yeah. So my marketing for other people has evolved over time.
Okay.
So it started with doing driving for dollars for other people. So I've had drivers in Idaho. I had 2 drivers in Bay Area for a little bit. I had 2 drivers in Dallas. I've had multiple drivers in Utah and gone through the whole thing and the whole process. We have since switched to, we provide rockstar lists, run the mail, and provide the skip tracing, and provide training on how to hire, manage your own driving for dollars person. But we're not currently hiring and managing driving for dollars people all over. We've got about 22 people that we're helping. It's going overall great, but we're not currently doing the driving for dollars aspect anymore.
Okay.
Really cool. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt too much. One thing I want to get to later, if we don't get to it now. You mentioned Utah, the Bay Area, Boise, Dallas. Like those are really different markets.
Very different markets.
Especially in the driving for dollars context too, because I think there's just so much variance there. I mean, obviously across all the different mediums, but for me, we definitely see different success rates or just different numbers that it takes to get deals in those different markets. So at some point, I'm sure we'll brush on it, but I'd love for you to just kind of speak to your experience specifically as it pertains to driving for dollars into those markets. It's just really a really interesting angle that you have a lot of really hands-on successful experience with.
For sure. Yeah. I'd be happy to along the way. And if you want to get kind of into more specifics and some of the things, I'd be happy to answer questions on that too.
Yeah, I think we'll get more tactical. I don't know, David, if you had an idea of where you wanted to go first too.
I mean, I think that's a great place to go. I think, everyone on this webinar is, they're expecting a format where they're going to get to ask you questions for most of the stuff most of the time. So I usually just use this introductory period in case, they're not familiar with your background.
Yeah. So in terms of like number of deals, last year we did 70, and so far we've done over 50 this year.
Wow.
That's
just in Utah.
This year.
Yeah, this year has been really good. Yeah, but a lot of it has been, the efforts of last year is a lot of the fruit that we're starting to see this year. And the same thing happened, the year before to this year. We're definitely growing quickly. And this is just my Utah numbers. This doesn't count the closings for everybody outside of Utah.
Okay. Ooh, I liked what you said there. Your efforts last year are attributing the success this year.
100%. Yeah. This is real estate investing, right? Like in our world, you do work today to make money later. And I mean, we do a good job at shortening that cycle through wholesaling. But regardless, like this is about building an operation that's continually running and growing and things like that. And you have to set it up in a way where you have enough cash to not get paid on a lot of your efforts until quite a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
And I also always say it's fishing, right? Like we're fishing more than we are. Like, I had it happen before where, someone would say like, we're going to go work really hard and go get a deal in the next 4 hours, right? We're just going to go like hunt and call and work so hard that you're going to get a deal in the next 4 hours, go fight, win. It really doesn't work like that. It's about making sure you have the right lure with the right bait in the right fishing hole at all times, and then continually tweaking that and growing more and more and more fishing holes that you're in. And when the fish are there, they bite. But to me, that's much more so what this looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I love that analogy a lot.
Did I hear you say you don't do driving for dollars anymore?
I don't for other people.
Gotcha. You just do it for yourself locally now.
Correct.
Okay. And why did you make that switch not to do it for other people anymore?
It was kind of it was a little bit difficult to scale. Well, okay, so the whole model changed. From we were doing we run every piece of marketing for you. So we'll answer the phone. We do the cold calling. We do the texting. We do the driving for dollars. And then we would create like marketing pools. So like in Dallas, we had 8 people and we were rotating through the leads and everything else. And we just found from doing it that it was better off to work with, each person individually rather than do it as a big pool. Because like one person wanted high-end homes, one person wanted low-end homes, one person like this part, one person like this part. So we took and significantly tailored their list into specifically what they were looking for, and then helped them run the mail and be consistent at it, help them get really good skip trace lists, and then help them run and manage their own driving for dollars person. So it's more just because it was a whole mentality shift rather than just pulling the driving for dollars piece out, if that makes sense.
Understood. So tell us about your driving for dollars team at home.
So I will tell you, I'll tell you what it looked like at its height. So my favorite driving for dollars people locally are, and so I always like hiring locally and relationship based. So my favorite people are like high school kids or like, friends and people that I know, things like that. I found that I can always get a better person that I pay less to when it's a relationship based hire. When I'm doing a distance hire and I'm having to hire just through like hiring boards, my sweet spot for driving for dollars people that I hire is I love getting Uber drivers or Lyft drivers that don't like people. So like introverted Uber and Lyft drivers have been my best hires. So they've been doing this for a while. They love driving, but they don't love the idea that to get a good tip, I have to talk to this person the whole time, right? So those have been my ideal for people. Otherwise, those are my ideal person for locally. I found that, when I first started this, like even in Bay Area, I initially hired 2 driving for dollars people. I still helped that person with his driving for dollars, and we dropped it down to 1. One quality, like full-time 40 hour a week driving for dollars person. He can cycle through the entire Bay Area, which is not small, right? There's a lot of streets, there's a lot of homes in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he can cycle it about once every 7-8 months and hit every house in the entire area.
Yes. We talked about that on last webinar. Like, to me, that's the optimal payment structure is when you're paying them hourly and they're working 40 hours a week. And we've got some other payment structures that are good if you don't have that kind of cash to commit up front. But that's awesome to hear you say you've had a lot of success with that. So what do you do?
Great. He's been rock solid. He's my very best driving for dollars person over there. Or anywhere has been him. The best driving for dollars person I've ever had is my guy in Bay Area. He's still going solid and strong now. He's awesome.
That's really, really cool. And I again, like David, love that recommendation and love just your story there, that having that guy who's just focused, that's his job. He's just focused on being awesome at driving for dollars, and the predictability that comes from that, I think, is incredibly valuable. I won't.
If you're into disc tests,
talking about it last week, so I won't get too deep.
Yeah. If you're into disc tests, I found a really high S type of person is going to do well at this because it's very repetitive. Like someone that's dream job is someone that's a super high S, their dream job is to show up and do the same thing every day, right? Like I have one of these that I just hired, a girl who's an office secretary type person, and it's like, huge variety is terrible, but repetitiveness is wonderful. If I know I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the same thing I did yesterday and I'm going to do a little better, it's great. So I think that's a great thing to be looking for in hiring your driving for dollars people too. But when I do it locally, it's typically like, it's almost like people that I want to give a job to, like just to hook up and connect. So oftentimes it's, high schoolers, younger people that I know that are in need of something. And so I don't do it full time there. It's typically a couple of part-time high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, just curious, and I'll start asking questions because we're already getting some in, and I want to make sure that our members get a chance. Do you do W-2 for those structures or 1099, especially our people?
I do 1099, just like what Lyft or Uber Eats or Grubhub would do.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so essentially I just follow their model.
Gotcha.
What was like the 30-second summary of your collective genius presentation that you did that we didn't get to see?
So it was essentially how I build my lists through the investor machine. So here's what I do. I pull, so this is how I run my marketing in Utah. It's pretty cool. I pull every record in my entire county, and then I score the property. So that's one thing that when you think of list stacking, people oftentimes will stack motivation points, but they don't take the property into account. So I rank every zip code, every home size, every seller type, whether it's an LLC or an individual, every equity, the amount of years owned, like 12 different things. And then I take and I score based on that. Hey, here's my ideal property. This one's a 10 all the way down to a 1. So a 1 would be like, this is a, $20 million home that was built a year ago. So then I score the seller. So this is where the driving for dollars comes in my area. So how I score the seller is, first I pull every list I can find online, but I found that those are just mediocre accurate. So then I have virtual assistants that actually get into the county, into the courthouse, on a variety of websites and pull every motivation point live time that you can imagine. And then this is where driving for dollars comes in, is I count driving for dollars as an additional motivation point. But not all things are worth 1 point. Some's worth a half a motivation points, like a driving for dollars lead is worth 2. And then we take and we marry the property score and the seller score given by motivation points, which driving for dollars is a piece. And then what it creates is, hey, here's everybody in your county, the best seller, here's the worst seller, and everyone in between. So at the top, these people are getting a handwritten letter, they're getting a text message, they're getting a phone call, they know us well, versus the people in the middle, maybe you're just getting a periodic postcard, versus the people at the bottom, it's like, I'll send you a biannual text maybe. So that's essentially the gist of it, is how I took the driving for dollars piece. So driving for dollars is a piece of a whole big marketing plan that looks at every property in the entire area. So years ago, I was just, saying, hey, I'm just going to market to the driving for dollars list. But I took it and said, I want to take driving for dollars and work it into the whole ecosystem of every person in the market.
Mm-hmm. So why did you say some things are worth half a point and driving for dollars is worth 2 points?
Okay, so imagine this. Imagine someone has a HOA lien,
Okay.
right? Who's more likely to sell? Someone with a HOA lien or somebody where the house looks hammered?
I mean, I would say always the driving for dollars is
Yes. So that's why driving for dollars gets 2 points, right? Or same thing, like, a notice of default that's 30 days away from selling is not as likely to sell as someone that just had a divorce, right? Someone that had a divorce, they may keep the house. The house may be in great shape. They still have a bunch of options that they may want to list it. So I still give it a motivation point. But if it's a notice of default that's 30 days away from closing, then it gets a couple motivation points because like those people are very interested. So that's why. So I'm not saying somebody that had an eviction, meaning I hate this person, gets the same quality as someone that's an absentee owner. Because even being an absentee owner can give you a half a motivation point, but an absentee owner is not the same as a person that just had a tenant trash their place.
right. Okay, interesting. And then if there's a really rough house on your driving for dollars list that's not an absentee owner, would you still give it a full 2 points?
Yep. So, but if it's a driving for dollars house and an absentee owner, it gets 2 points from driving for dollars, and then it gets a half a point from being absentee. And for all you know, there may be a point on there. There may be another 2 points on there for being a notice of default, and a 1 point on there from being, maybe they're going through probate or something, right?
Gotcha.
Or any other number of things that it could be. I can see really quickly, holy crap, I'm going to knock on this guy's door, right? Like whatever it takes, this guy's going to know my name. But you can't give that attention to everybody.
I love that.
Is there anything worth more than 2 points?
No, I give driving for dollars the highest amount of points.
Thank you. I feel like I always say that, but it's awesome to hear it come from somebody else.
Right. And I put a lot of time, effort, and energy into looking at this and everything else. I give driving for dollars the same weight as I do. So evictions, notice of defaults, probates, and driving for dollars is my 2 pointers.
Cool.
It sounds like not probably just based off the fact that you got the 2 pointer there, but do you have like a tier of distress? So like, what's your qualification for this is a distressed property versus not? And then do you say this is kind of distressed and this is not as distressed? And do you try to discern those two? Yeah.
So I just count it. I just count it. How many motivation points does it have? Right. So it winds up looking like a matrix of like, imagine an Excel spreadsheet with like 6-7 rows across and then 10 rows down. Right. So I have this many houses that are a 10 avatar, meaning like this is the exact type of house that I buy, but it only has 1 motivation point. This one's a 5 avatar, but it has 5 motivation points. So you can see exactly where all the homes sit in there. So it's like, hey, this is a potentially highly motivated seller, but they don't have equity, or they're not in the type of neighborhood I like to buy in, or they're not, the home's way bigger than I typically like to buy, etc. So it allows me to see where everybody sits.
Understood.
Awesome.
You ready to dive into some questions?
You bet.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. Hannah is not here, so let me try to bring some people on. Hey, what's going on, Christopher?
Oh, he's coming back.
Okay. Wasn't really prepared to be on. Just asked my question. But so going back to you were saying about the matrices, you said you were in different markets. What are those key things that you look at so that you can change up the driving for dollars in each market? You said you're very successful in other markets, so I'm thinking that you look at key things so that you can conform driving for dollars criteria so that people are successful in each market.
So I do conform a lot from market to market. We look at a lot of, data where people are buying, things like that. I would say the main area that I conform would be in my prioritized area of driving. So we'll get super granular into the data of, where are investors buying? where can we see that homes are being purchased with cash by someone that doesn't live there? And then what we do is we start out, you can like custom edit Google Maps. It's kind of cool. So you can like save a map and then edit it. And then we'll throw on layers and say, okay, these are green, these are yellow, these are red. So you got to drive. So we'll make a bunch of little areas and we'll say, you got to drive all the green first. And then after you've driven the green, then you can drive the yellow. Don't touch the red. By the time you're done with the yellow, go back and drive the green again, which in most areas takes 8 months to a year of a person doing it full time. So I would say that's probably the key secret. It's all about the area that you drive in. I don't really adjust the criteria. And honestly, I feel like here's one of my secrets too. And David, you may completely disagree or you may agree. I'm actually interested to hear what you think. I err on the side of count it. Like, people think that driving for dollars is look for the house where the roof is caved in and the windows are broken in and it's boarded up. For me, it's not. I err on the side of, if there's peeling paint outside, count it. If you see a few lifted up shingles, count it. If you see a yard that's not perfectly taken care of, count it. So I err very light on the side of, like, if you see anything that looks like it could be a driving for dollars lead, count it.
I completely agree. Especially if you're in a nicer neighborhood, they're not going to have houses that don't have walls. They're going to have little things wrong. Like, my favorite is like, there's like green moss on the siding, they like, cause they have a power.
That doesn't happen in Utah.
Okay. All right.
We're a dry state.
When we moved to DC, I found that moss on the side of the siding, and that was new to me, but that's definitely a sign.
Yeah. I'll throw
Stuff in the front.
I was gonna say, I'll throw my head in there too, and 100% like err on the sides of counting it. Worst case scenario, it's just one of the data points, especially in your model that you're using here.
Exactly.
And it's relevant. They're not taking perfect condition of the property. I think Jeremy, actually, one of the deals that I think he got from DealMachine a long time ago was like a minor, like a blind being like broken or something like that. I could be wrong, Jeremy, but I think I remember that story a long time ago.
Well, and here's the thing in my market too, like previous to me implementing the investor machine for myself, I was just marketing to the equity list. I had finally grown last year to a point of like, okay, I'm going to hit the absentees, I'm going to this, and it was still working as I continued to grow. So it's like, well, I'm just going to hit, if they have equity and they're in my favorite places, I'm going to mail to them.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot smarter since then. So for me, like any type of indicator is better than the equity list. Right? Even if it's one missing blind, it's better than the equity list. So I do it a lot smarter now. I've saved a lot in marketing because of it, because I know, hey, this is how I roll everything through. But back then, when I was operating more like how a lot of other people do, it was like anything is better than the equity list.
Christopher, where are you located?
So right now I'm in Maryland.
Okay.
Awesome.
George County.
Yeah. And then where are you at
county?
in business?
So I'm in two markets, Dallas and Dallas County and Tarrant County, and I do PG County, Charles County, and also DC up here.
Okay. What's one thing that we could help you with on this call?
So I'm like a high level thinker. Elise knows I'm an engineer. And so I like to look at processes. So that's the reason why I asked that high level question, because for me, everything is a process. So anything I can repeat over and over is that's what I look at. Most of the time I try to figure things out, but him answering that question really helped me out a lot.
Awesome.
Elise wanted me to tell you on behalf of her. She just texted me.
Say again?
Elise wanted to say hi real quick.
Oh, that's what I said. Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So my sister lives in Indian Head, by the way.
Wow. Okay. Yes.
I love that. I love your part of the world. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Yes. They're doing a whole lot of course, gentrification. A lot of taking a lot of the old places and putting a lot of eateries and different places to visit in these new places, and the market is just like I think it's about topped out right now, but there's a lot of empty homes and stuff still. You would be amazed. You would be amazed.
Cool. You're still in full lockdown too, aren't you?
Yes.
Full lockdown.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, in Utah, we're most of the way out. We're lucky here.
Nice. You can't drive more than 65 miles. They don't, you got to do like 2 weeks quarantine if you do more than 65 miles. So.
It's crazy there.
I still go driving for dollars though. I don't have to be around. I don't have to be around people.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you.
Oh, there's Elise.
All right, next we're going to bring on Charles Odell. Charles, if you can hear me, can you join us? And while we're waiting for Charles, Jonathan wanted to know, how picky are you with what houses you pin? And I guess you kind of answered that.
I just essentially that was my answer. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Not picky.
how many per hour would you say is a goal for that driver?
So that is the number one question that I'm asked that I don't have a good answer for. Because here's the thing. Let's talk the Bay Area, or even like in Utah, right? I have somebody, my driving for dollars person in Utah, if they're driving on Adams Avenue in Ogden, they will literally flag every fourth house. But if they're driving over in North Ogden, they'll drive 3 blocks and flag 2. Now that said, when I get one of those 2, I'll make way more than I will on the Adams Ave house. But I've always strayed away from saying you need to get X number of houses because I just because it varies so much from neighborhood to neighborhood. Essentially, I make them report their numbers at the end of every day and where they drove. And based on where they drove, I have an idea of whether or not they produced what I would have expected. So I don't have a great answer for that because in one neighborhood, they're going to kill it. And in the next neighborhood, they're going to do way worse.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually love to hear your answer for that, David.
In Indianapolis, I had a goal of 12 an hour. And that was because I was more in like B class neighborhoods where you're not going to find as many, but the ones you do find, I think are going to be worth adding. If you're in Fountain Square or like some neighborhood like where they're doing a lot of gentrification, you can add 70 in an hour, but I necessarily don't look in those neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's a notable element. Like David said, like there's neighborhoods. There's other variables involved too. Like, are you stopping and slowing and taking a photo of each property? Are they just tapping and adding it into DealMachine and not bothering with the photo element? Are they taking notes, tags? There's ways to make the process longer or faster, and they both have their pros and cons. The one thing I would say, if you're in a neighborhood where you're adding every single house in the block, double check it. Like Jason said earlier, he read lists like blackballs, essentially geographies where people probably, I'm assuming, just aren't buying, or investors aren't buying.
No,
and so
the only reason they get, so in Utah, we don't have a bottom, right? And that's different for a lot of other people. So in Utah, there's some neighborhoods like in Chicago, right? Like nobody buys there, right? It's just too bad.
Right.
We don't have a bottom, but we do have hey, every home in that neighborhood is $1 million home. They were all built 4 to 10 years ago, and you're just not going to find a house.
What do you mean you don't have a bottom? Like you have houses that are worth nothing?
Yeah, I mean, the worst neighborhood in my market, investors are happy to buy in. So
Gotcha.
There's not a home that's so bad that someone won't buy it. Like there is, and I think in a lot of your Midwest markets, you have homes where like someone says, "Hey, will you give me 20 grand for my house?" And you say no, because it's in this neighborhood and everything else. We don't have anything like that here.
Okay. We've got houses that are worth $0 for sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So in Utah, that doesn't exist. So,
Understood.
But so when I say I read an area, it's not that the neighborhood's so bad. It's that the neighborhood is so good that
Gotcha.
they would drive an entire day and not get a lead.
Mm-hmm.
But you would want to do both based on your neighborhood.
All right. So Trey Seals wants to know, what is the first thing he should address when starting an out-of-state marketing team?
What type of marketing team?
Assuming driving for dollars.
Okay, we'll assume driving for dollars. Okay. The first thing you need to do is you honestly need to understand the city, right? So you need to look and figure out, okay, what zip codes are going to be the types of homes that we're looking for. The easiest and fastest, you can do that by looking at data, but the best way to do that is going to be to connect with a person who's familiar with the area. This can be a realtor, this can be another real estate investor, and say, hey, where should I be going first? And then honestly, once you've got that down, it's the same as here. Like, I operate entirely virtually, like I said earlier. Everyone on my staff works from home. So whether my driving for dollars person is driving here or whether they're driving in Idaho or Dallas or wherever, it doesn't matter because nobody comes to an office anyways. So it's just making sure that you understand the area enough to make sure that you're telling them to drive in the places where you're going to get the best return.
What's going on, Keith? I think you're muted.
You're muted. We got your video though. There we go.
Hi, gentlemen. How you doing?
Really good.
Awesome.
Good to see you.
You too.
So Keith had a few good questions. Keith, where are you calling in from?
I'm in McKinney, Texas. So that's Collin County, just right on the border of Dallas County, Tarrant County.
Yeah.
Running together.
Awesome. And are you doing any driving for dollars right now?
I'm starting. I just got the app, so I'm trying to really see how I can maximize the use of it. So I'm just trying to get some information and see what can help.
Fantastic. You're in the right spot. Why don't you go ahead and give Jason kind of your background and some questions, and then we'll see if we can help you.
Sure, thanks. Well, been in Dallas for about 7 years. Before that was in Phoenix as a realtor. Saw investors come in and kind of make a killing in 2008. So, hey, the light bulb goes on.
Phoenix has to be the investor capital of the world.
Right. I mean, it's a great place to be. You know, everybody comes to Phoenix. Yeah. But I was just wondering, you know, when you're looking at your scale, and let's just say on the higher end of the scale, you even said, hey, if it's that high, I'll even knock on the door. If you compare that to something in the middle of the pack on your rating, how does your marketing change with that?
Yeah, so it varies. I'll tell you Utah. So essentially, if someone's at the top of the scale, I'm sending them a letter. They're getting a monthly phone call. They're getting a monthly text. And if they don't respond to any of those, I will send somebody to knock on their door. And then as it scales down, and we do it just kind of based off of total number and things like that, then it moves to a monthly letter and, you know, alternating call and text, and then a monthly letter, and we're just sticking with text, and then a bi-monthly letter. You know, we just spread out the marketing and the overall expense on that person as they become less qualified.
Right. What are you using for your texting?
So I use a software called 80/20. It's a really cool software, but designed probably a little more for people with teams than more so than your one-off person. If you're a one-man show, my personal favorite is Launch Control.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're bigger and you have a staff to implement, it's kind of like Podio versus Salesforce a little bit. Like if you're bigger, Salesforce. You're smaller, Podio. Same thing.
Right.
So if you're bigger, 80/20. If you're smaller, Launch Control is my personal favorite.
Okay, thank you.
So it's 80/20 and Launch Control for texting. So Launch Control, you're going to be up and rolling much quicker, you know, you can text, you can do all of the stuff. It's got a lot of really cool features. 80/20 has some really advanced stuff that's really cool too, but takes a lot longer to implement.
Right, but not necessary if it's a smaller production.
Yeah, if I personally was texting, I would be on Launch Control.
Right.
So Keith, have you added any properties yet, driving for dollars?
I have. I've added about 65.
Okay, that's a good start.
Hmm.
How did you find using the app and everything?
The app is simple to use. Like I say, take the picture, you know, hit it, and, you know, it's as simple as that. So I'm able to get quite a bit in as I'm out and about.
Awesome. Have you set any goals yet for how many you want to add?
Well, looking at the goals, I was trying to, on a basis, at least do about 20 a week. And I found that it's easier to do more than 20 a week.
Yeah.
If you're just doing an hour or so a day. So
Yep.
right now, yeah, really looking at doing maybe 50 per week, just doing it myself.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely a realistic goal. And I wanted to share, we always tell everyone, like, the fastest you can get to 200 plus properties, the faster that you'll end up getting results. We've seen that's like the point where you start to get calls back, and it's kind of a numbers game. So, as soon as you get over a few hundred, then you can kind of start the clock and repeat mail or whatever it is you're doing to reach out to them a few times over the next few months, because you definitely want to hit them more than once. It's kind of a timing and numbers thing.
Right. So 200 is where you start to build that traction.
At least, right? It could take a little bit more, but the worst thing that anybody can do is pay for the DealMachine subscription for 3 months, but only add 26 properties total, right? And
Right.
not going to get any results. So we try to offer that number so that people have something to benchmark off of. So if you can get 200-300 properties in your first month, like, you'll be in a really good spot.
Right.
And your budget should dictate how you're marketing to them as well. Ideally, like I jump in a lot of the calls that I have with people who are just coming across DealMachine and just getting started. And my recommendation typically is like 2 to 3x what the expected volume of deals is going to take to get the volume of deals that you want. And so what I mean by that is, if you want, let's say 3 deals a month, we want you putting at least 600, ideally up to 900 properties into DealMachine every month to consistently create that long-term opportunity flow. And so if you want to do 3, like, let's try to get to at least 900 a month for at least 3 months straight. And that's going to create the pipeline of opportunities you need to actually create results. And then depending on your budget, if you can make direct mail happen with that, do direct mail and follow up with them. If your budget doesn't realistically allow for direct mail at that scale, looking, skip tracing and cold calling them, and obviously it takes time and resources there, but it first starts with your budget and then looking at the channel and figuring out how to market to the properties to get the results that you need.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Jason, what have the numbers been like for you when you started driving for dollars, say in a new city? Like, how many properties did you have in there? How many times did you follow up with them? I mean, I guess I know you're marketing to like more motivation points than just that.
Right. So I'll just go on those, looking at some of my numbers from my guy in Bay Area. So, for example, I just clicked on a day, May 6th, he drove for 8 hours and he generated 83 turds. And keep in mind, this is his 3rd time driving through. Versus yesterday, he generated 23. And so that's kind of more what I was saying with how it varies from area to area. So for us, we drop them into a mail campaign based on where they're sitting, and we mail them till they tell us to take us off the list or till they die, right? Same thing. We cycle through and call them based off of when it's their turn and text them when it's their turn, again, until they ask us to be taken off the list or until they die, one of the two.
Awesome.
So once they're in, we just keep them in, because so much of this is a timing game too, right? That's why you want to be able to hit as many people as you can, and just, make it. And that's the cool part about what I do with the investor machine, is it just makes it statistics, right? This person's 0.01 likely to sell. This person's 0.001 likely to sell. So we're going to hit this person this frequently, and with this much money, it's going to generate this many deals this frequently and everything else.
Right. That's awesome. I love breaking it down like that. It's a percentage game. And I love that the details that you go in through and segmenting likelihood and thinking in that sense it's really cool to hear people think about it in that sense. Guys, I have to drop off actually. So,
okay.
Everybody, Jason, thank you very much. And I'll talk to everyone soon.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah.
See you, Josh. Thanks,
See you,
Keith.
TG.
Bye, Josh.
Thanks, guys.
Hi.
Definitely appreciate your question. How you doing, Turner? Oh, you're muted.
I'm doing just great. How about y'all?
Doing really good, thanks. So I know you had at least one question in here that I really liked about hiring. Where are you calling in from today?
I'm in the Houston market.
Okay, you're in Houston, nice. So you're not too far from Keith.
I don't reckon so. No, not too far. Well, Texas is big, man.
It is.
Texas
Texas is big.
Houston and Dallas is that's a long drive.
So I assume you're working as a single man, working this wholesaling business, right? And you were asking Jason, when did you know when to hire?
Right. And I guess, the basis behind that is being new to this, downloading the machine, the DealMachine, and hitting the streets.
Yep.
I've been up and down these streets. I've recorded these properties. I've taken their photos. I've skip traced them. I've made all these phone calls. 2 hours to go through 100 properties. You got a lot of bad numbers. You've got a lot of voicemail messages that don't get returned. You get a few hits. And so I was just curious. It's a lot of work for one person. If I really wanted to scale, I'm looking at, forming a team. I have a couple of buddies that are interested in working with me. But I was just curious, from your experience, how much of the work did you do? How long did you do it? What was your success? And then at what point did you decide, man, I got to start hiring? And make it, and was it worth your while in the beginning?
Great question. So I look at this from I've looked at this from the start from what is my time worth when I'm doing these things, right? And while I'm doing this, any repeatable task, can I take and pay somebody to do this repeat task, and then I go do something else that's going to be worth more, right? So in my market, I can pay someone that I know $12 to $14 an hour to do driving for dollars. Okay. So when I'm driving for dollars, I am worth $12 to $14 an hour. Now that said, it's going to bring in way more revenue than that, but I can be paying somebody else to do that. So I can pay somebody else to do that just as long as I can then go do something else that's worth $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour, right? So I was constantly thinking at the start, what can I be doing that's going to generate the most revenue? It's the Pareto 80-20 principle. What is the 20% that's going to produce 80% of the results? So as soon as I had, so there's driving for dollars, there's actually calling and talking to sellers, there's meeting with sellers, there's all of these different things. I was fortunate in that when I started, I'd been in the business for 5 years. I had just left a previous company. So I had a good amount of knowledge and cash. So for me, I was able to mail quite a bit right from the start and get the phone ringing quite a bit. I was able to leverage money in exchange for time, right? When you're doing your own driving for dollars, you're choosing to leverage time instead of money most of the time. But in every way I could, I found ways to leverage money instead of time. So that was why I hired people early on, because I was constantly working towards what can I be doing that's going to be a higher hourly rate than this. So initially it was, I was making sure I was always answering the calls and calling all of these people and letting someone else find them. And then it was, okay, now I have someone else answering the calls and someone else calling them, and up and up and up and up.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that was helpful.
No, that does make sense. And I guess I was kind of thinking the same thing because, I just started. I only have 100 properties right now. So in my mind, I'm thinking I got to get big. I need 400 or 500 properties coming in a month, while I close on some deals. That's where my head is at right now.
Yeah. So early on, I took Brent Daniels' TTP course. He's actually the person that referred me to and initially trained me on driving for dollars. And one thing he talked about with cold calling, driving for dollars, anything is if you're going to manage it well, you need to have done it and mastered it, right? You need to understand, if you're going to manage it, you need to understand it. You need to know what the KPIs need to look like. You need to know what a good job looks like, what a bad job looks like. So one of his rules is, even with cold calling, when you've talked to 1,000 sellers, then it's a good time to hire another cold caller, because you now understand it enough that you can manage it well. Otherwise, that person's going to be asking you questions, and it's like, oh, I don't know, you've talked to more people than I have. Like, I don't know anything about this. So I would say get to the point where you can master it, figure out something else you can do that's worth more per hour than driving for dollars, and then put someone in place.
Okay. Opportunity costs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Do you
Turner.
agree with that, David?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's always tough for me to realize that, but my mentor always says you need to hire to add capacity. Basically, you need to hire to take things off your plate rather than hire to like add capacity. I said that backwards. So, you need to start out doing the thing. And then once you've got a couple of deals doing the driving for dollars, well, now you can hire somebody to drive, and you've got like inbound calls coming. So now you can spend your time taking those inbound calls, meeting with sellers, and doing the actual deals rather than the driving. So, and just to put it in perspective, $15 an hour is equivalent to $30,000 a year annual salary. So if you've done, let's say, 3 $10,000 deals this year already, now your time's worth more than $15 an hour.
Great addition.
Thanks. Let's see, who's got another question? All right, so Matt Furch wants to know, what did your progression look like? We know you've been at this for 7 years. What was kind of like each year?
So I progressed fast when I left. So, okay, so I will give you 1 to 5 as a quick summary. So I started at a company. Initially, I wanted to get into real estate investing, but am not like super entrepreneurial risk taker. So I chose the let's work for somebody path. I hit him up 3 times to hire me. All 3 times he said no. So I said, I'm going to work for free till I'm worth something. Then you can pay me that. Worked for him for free for a month. I was the guy that got lunch, got the mail, worked my way up to sending offers on homes on the MLS. At that time, we were flipping about a home a month. We grew to doing about 150 to 200 a year when I left 5 years later and started my own thing. So I had been through seeing grow small to grow big. So
Gotcha.
I started by hiring my first virtual assistant, and it actually started when I got the tax record list in Salt Lake County, because it was like 3,000 people, and it was a PDF that was like pictures taken of it. And I was like, oh, that's going to take me a whole day or 2 whole days to convert this to an Excel to be able to mail these people. And so I was like, I had heard on a podcast about, Upwork and VAs. So I started by hiring a VA, and I think I paid her $3 an hour. She busted it out 2 days later, and I was like, leverage, I am sold. So it started with a VA. I hired a cold caller next. That cold caller left. He helped me hire, he referred me to a friend who became my cold caller, who eventually got promoted to be my lead manager. I then hired 2 or 3 other cold callers. The guy that became the lead manager eventually got promoted to acquisition manager. And then I hired another lead manager, again, team of cold callers. I had a decent number of virtual assistants at this point. I brought on a project manager and a disposition manager, and have since then continued to grow more of those roles. So now I have a disposition manager, 2 acquisition managers, a team of prospectors. I'll just leave it at a team. Relationship managers, project managers, like a chief technology officer, transaction coordinator, still all the VAs, bookkeeper, and a whole bunch of others.
Understood. Hey, Vaughn, how you doing? Vaughn, we've got your video, but we can't hear you.
Oh, and one other thing, I was able to go from one-man show to every major portion of the company built out. So acquisition manager, disposition manager, project manager, someone to answer the phone. Essentially, every step of the process could happen without me. I started September 2017, and by May of 2018, somebody could do everything in the company besides me. And I went on a 2-week vacation and everything ran without me.
That's fast. That's awesome.
It was fast. Yeah, it was fast. But again, it was round 2 for me. So it's not necessarily a true, but I also built a different company with a different structure than the previous one, but I understood enough of the principles.
Yep. Understood.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
All right, cool deal. Hey guys, how you
Hey,
doing?
man. Good.
So I'm in New Orleans. I'm doing about 5-6 deals a month. You'll have to excuse me. I'm actually on my off day, but I just saw the webinar. I had to jump in.
Glad you did.
I'm doing me mostly as acquisitions and owner. I've been in real estate for like 2 years. I have a disposition girl that I've been teaching over the last like month and a half. And she's actually going to her first closing tomorrow, like a 12 grand spread. So most of our leads are coming from like lead Sherpa and just straight cold calls from the VAs. It's very difficult to find local workers in this area, in this market. We struggled trying to do the commission and flat rate and per house and everything. So really, I'm just trying to figure out how to lean less on just my VA's cold calling, because I have 2 of them right now doing 40 hours a week. One of them strictly cold calling, the other one will do like light acquisitions and sending out contracts for the laydowns. If it's something that I have to go do a paper contract, either me or the dispositions girl will do, because we're kind of small. But I'm just trying to figure out how to go from 6 a month to 12 a month.
Mm-hmm. And you said you're having trouble finding drivers, hiring drivers.
Oh man, it's a struggle. It's really a struggle.
Who have you hired? How have you tried to hire so far?
I've been in real estate for about 2 years. I own, a nice portfolio of property. I'm not only a wholesaler, I do investing for myself as well. I was a finance manager in the local car scene for years. So I reached out to a lot of people that I worked with, in sales before, and people that just had the young, ambitious hustle that I saw in myself. And it's no good. I was actually just telling my fiance that I'm about to go drive for dollars now, because I'm just, I'm at a point now where I'm overseeing a lot, but I want to be actively involved, and I feel like I'm not utilizing DealMachine as much of a resource as I know it is. We do our little skip tracing with it. If we're driving by and we happen to see something in that area that's distressed, then we'll add it, and I'll have my cold callers skip trace from there. But I know that it's a better resource than what I'm using it as right now.
Have you considered paying hourly?
I'm willing to pay whatever.
Okay.
I'm not because I do well as far as my wholesaling and investing. So
right, it sounds like it for sure.
Yeah. So at this point, I just want to get more opportunities for my team.
I have an idea.
Yes.
So, unemployment 3 months ago was under 3%. Unemployment today is 15%, just because it was true. And you're in New Orleans, right?
Correct.
Which is a pretty heavy tourist place. I would bet you're probably smoking that 15%.
Oh yeah.
There's things that suck about coronavirus, and there's opportunity. The opportunity is, I've actually been on a hiring spree recently, and the quality of people that I'm getting is here compared to what it was before. So try again to hire a driver. And here's the thing: the person who's laid off right now from the hospitality, retail, whatever, that's an ideal driver. Or even a lot of these other things that you're looking for, the things that you have your VAs doing that you can bring somebody in-house on, post an ad, and I bet you get a way better result than you did 3 months ago.
Yeah, and post it on Indeed too. Post it on a job where somebody's looking for like a stable position, rather than like I know a lot of people do Craigslist, but those people are just looking for like gigs and money today.
Right. That's actually a good idea. I should look into like Monster and Indeed and just try to get it. Yep, do it hourly like that. I'm actually going to do that today. Thank y'all so much for that.
Also, my personal opinion, you'll hire much better through networking and relationships than you will through an Indeed posting. So especially when I'm making a key hire, I will set aside 2 hours for a cold calling session. And I'll make a list of everybody that I know, and I will cold call from the top to the bottom and just say, hey, this is who I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Do you know anybody that might be able to fit this role? And most of the time, that 2 hours, sooner or later, leads to a way better hire than I would have got from just posting an ad.
Right. Now, as far as your training on DealMachine, this is the last real question that I have that I feel like could really bring me value. Is there anything like I don't really have time to curate for each person that comes in. You know, I thought of sitting down and actually recording a whole process for onboarding. Is there like an onboarding process that you guys have for DealMachine that you would hit a new driver with? Say, hey, these are the metrics that I'm looking for. Just if you're having issues with driver turnover in a market.
Yep. So my biggest thing is before you hire them, especially for the hourly position, you want to set up hoops for them to jump through so they can actually prove that they're capable of following directions and interested enough to go do a few properties, add a few properties for you. So I wanted to show you something in the technology as well. We've got like 10 videos that you can turn on or off as part of their onboarding, and as well as like a landing page for them to self-onboard themselves to your team. You want me to show you that real quick?
Yes, if you could, that would be great.
Okay. All right, let me share this. All right, so in your DealMachine app, you want to click on Collect Deal Finders. There's a page, and this is part of the enterprise plan. There's a page that's dedicated to your business that you can actually post in the Indeed ad, and you can say at the bottom, like, hey, thanks, just to make sure you read this, the bottom of this ad, like, please onboard yourself to my team. This is the page. And then you can actually turn on certain training videos that they see as soon as they do that. And so like, this is a welcome, kind of reaffirms why they're here. This is like payment. So you can
Supplement, right.
Yeah. And then we've like done the video for you that explains how they're going to get paid. This one is distress level. So like, how lenient do you want to be with really run down or maybe just a few things wrong? The taking photos, I personally made this because my main driver, Courtney, was adding crooked photos all the time. And I was like, you got to slow this down and take it straight because it's on the mail. And she didn't know that. So that's why she wasn't worried about is it straight or not. So we've gone through and made a video to address the most, 7 most common pain points that, somebody might run into. So this can definitely help. And then call to action is just like, go out, add 20 properties. You offer to pay them like $20 as soon as they're done, which is kind of them passing the test. And then you can actually sit down and have, it's worthwhile to like meet them, have an interview, and get more in depth on where you want them to drive.
That's awesome. I surely will have the team look into this. This is a lot of valuable information. Thank you so much for this tool, by the way. I love seeing things of value in this field.
Thanks, Vaughn. Really appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Absolutely. Great to meet y'all as well. Thank y'all so much.
Can I share a cool hack that somebody did for me yesterday?
Yeah.
That had me just super impressed. I actually had somebody, so I have a home that is a driving for dollars lead. I bought a home from a druggie. Turns out that the real druggie was the druggie that was in jail, and the guy I bought the home from was his druggie buddy who forged his ID. So I'm dealing with a title and insurance issue claim. It's going to be an extended period of time, and other druggies are still living in the house, but I don't technically own the house, and so it's a mess, and the grass is overgrown and everything else. So I got a message on Facebook yesterday with a picture of the front of the house that says, hey, Jason, I'm not sure if you've seen your house for a little bit, but like, this is what it looks like now. Anything I can do to help? And I was like, bro, you are the man. Like, I am so impressed that you found me. I'm so impressed because first off, like, I own it in an entity, and the entity, it's not easy to find me, right? And then to find me on Facebook and everything else. But like, he got me. He got my attention. If I was working with anybody to sell that house, it would for sure be this guy. And I own enough houses. I get a postcard, at least a postcard in the mail every day. But that's the guy I would have sold that house to.
Just for finding you through the veil, piercing the corporate veil.
Right. And actually like shooting me a message on Facebook. It was impressive.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all so much, guys. I got to go. hopefully
Thanks, Fawn.
get
Have a good
much
night.
more information. Y'all have a great night as well. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Jason, we're almost at the end of the questions, I think. Let's see here. Okay. Some of these have been answered, so I'm scrolling past them. Oh, somebody wants to know, like, how do you approach Uber drivers?
I just post an ad, and Uber drivers apply.
Okay,
so I don't have like a specific Uber driver marketing campaign where I specifically look for them. But when I find people that have been Uber drivers in the past, those are my favorite people to interview.
Okay. Jeff Carlson asked, how do you handle drivers quitting? Like you just remove them out of the system and recruit somebody else?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If you had to start over, what would you do differently?
So I've actually, so it depends on where I was starting. Okay. So pick a city, tell me I'm starting there, and then I'll tell you what I would do.
Okay. Dallas, Texas.
Okay. If I'm in Dallas, Texas. Okay. So if I'm in Dallas, Texas, right out the gate, I am definitely doing driving for dollars. And I'm personally doing driving for dollars, and then I'm personally getting on the phone with these people. In addition to that, I would start immediately building relationships with realtors and other key people that could refer you deals. I'm sending as much mail as I can afford right out the gate. If I'm in Dallas, I'm not doing anything online. And I'm probably leaning heavier on texting than cold calling is what I'm doing. But starting all over again, I master one thing, and then I do the next thing, and then I do the next thing. Oftentimes we get in trouble trying to do everything at once and doing it all poorly. I pick one thing. That's what I did. I mastered mail, and I mastered cold calling, I mastered online, and I mastered texting.
Yep. All right. So while you're answering that, we had others say Amherst, Maryland, DC, and Ogden, Utah.
Okay. So Ogden, Utah, I do it pretty close to how I did it. That's where I started. So the difference is, if I'm in a Midwest market, especially like not necessarily like an Indianapolis, but yeah, for example, I'll call it a secondary market. Okay. So if you can't catch a layover in this town, we're getting a lot of areas. So I'm going to group them into a couple of categories. Okay. So category one is, I'll call it Dayton, Ohio. Okay. Or like a smaller secondary market that you can't catch a layover through. The very first thing I'm doing is SEO and pay-per-click. That's what I would do before anything else in a market like that. And the reason being, the easiest. Like the phone just rings, and most of the time it's at least a seller, right? You're not dealing with takeoff of lists and everything else. And it's so easy to SEO a website in a small, simple Midwest market, as compared to, one of the more major markets. And same thing, pay-per-click, your cost per click is so cheap because you have less competition. And I believe online's the easiest. So, I have friends in some of these smaller markets that are trying to figure out texting and all of this stuff. You don't need to. Just do SEO and pay-per-click, and you're going to be fine. If I'm in Dallas, if I'm in Vegas, if I'm in Miami, if I'm in Phoenix, 0% chance I'm touching SEO and pay-per-click. I'm looking for what is the hardest thing that I can possibly do to get a lead, because the competition there is immense.
So you want to do the hard thing.
Yes. So so it's kind of the opposite. If I'm in a small secondary market, I can do whatever and it's going to work, right? So I'm going to take the easy thing. But if I'm in a competitive market, I'm going to do the hard thing, because that's what's going to work. So you are never going to outspend Zillow on pay-per-click, right? Good luck. They're not even trying to make money on their deals. And they are heavily in pay-per-click. You're not going to beat OfferPad. You're not going to beat Open Door. Let them have that. I'm driving in those areas. I'm driving for dollars and I'm texting. And who I don't get on texting, I'm calling. And who I'm not getting on any of those, I'm sending a mail. I'm doing what I do in Investor Machine, creating the best list through very labor-intensive things and making it work. And then somewhere in between there, based on how major and competitive your market is.
So you would say Indianapolis is between there?
I would call Indianapolis between there because you are Midwest, but you're a
it's a major Midwest.
Right? You've got some pretty legit large competitors
that
I'm aware of.
We do.
In your area. You've got a ton, right. You've got a ton of turnkey buyers and things like that. Like Indianapolis's time of being the chosen land was like 5 years ago, right? But now, like Indianapolis, you're more competitive, but you're not at the level of like what Jeremy is in Vegas or what the Phoenix guys are and things like that.
Jeremy, how you doing?
Life's beautiful, man. But yeah, pay-per-click, that's a rough one out here. And mail.
Don't do that.
Jason, I just called Mike about the about the whole thing he's got going on there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well you got to mail." Travis Oglesby and him, and he says, "Well, you have to do mail." I'm like, "Dude, I get 0.25% on my mail. If I send a big fat one like Homevestors, I get 0.5% on my mail." So I'm like, "No, I can't commit to that."
Hey,
you also may not be mailing the right list.
Yeah, there's so much competition for mail out here too.
So like I said, I get a postcard a day, right? I get a postcard every single day, and I still generate a great return with mail. I get a great return with mail here. I get a great return with mail in DFW. I get a great return with mail in Bay Area. But the secret is I did the hard thing, which is I found the hardest sellers to find through taking the virtual assistants in to the list. And by the way, I'm Mike's partner in that Investor Machine thing that you called it. So you're talking the same thing. What I was talking about earlier and what you're talking to Mike about, it's the same thing.
Okay, but I want to do it without the mail, man. I just need the list other than the mail. But you're saying that mail is going to be much more.
We can do
I don't want to mail everything. I just want to mail the highest crap off of there, not all the rest of it,
That's the whole point, and it works the best in major markets, right? I mean, how many people are in Vegas?
A couple
2 million ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2 million, there are people that are mailing 30 grand a month. Mail 3. Just mail the top 10% and then get the rest in a skip trace list that you can call and text. But this would be a good conversation for you and I to have offline. We don't need to keep everybody on here.
Jeremy was the 5th person to ever use DealMachine, so I had to bring him on when I saw his name pop up. We were he was like the first person who downloaded the app that I like called and had a conversation with about like, well, what can we do to make the app better for you? And
so as soon as I download it, I'm messaging him on a Sunday, and he's replying to me, and then we get on the phone with each other, and I go, anybody who has that much effort, like this is awesome, man. I'm giving you feedback anytime I have it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Fun story. Well, thank you, Jason, for jumping on. This is actually the part of the webinar where Elise hops on, and then we do a demo of the software. So I'm wondering, Elise, are you able to do that tonight?
I'm gonna jump off then.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Hit me up in Vegas, and when you come out here, and definitely hit me up offline so we can chat about that. Please,
awesome. Love it, Jeremy. Yep. Thanks everybody.
Bye, Jeremy. Good to see you, brother.
Later. Thanks, man. Appreciate you and all your giving.
Appreciate you.
That literally warmed my heart.
Did it? Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. We were that was a Sunday in 2016.
Oh.
And then I've actually hung out with him I went to a conference for fortune builders, and then Jeremy joined me and showed us around Vegas. So I've seen him a few times.
Hey, hold on now. I got to tell her this one. Did we not get into fortune builders after you told me that we can't get into fortune builders party?
We did.
And then they recorded us.
You got us into the after party.
Live. We were on their stuff live. They videoed us.
Oh, that's right. They actually they had like a video person there, like doing testimonials, and like they insisted on doing a video of Jeremy and I, and we actually didn't have tickets to the party.
And neither one of us are fortune builders people.
That's true.
You daredevil.
I said, you just walk in like you own the place and like you're supposed to be there and nobody will bother you. Don't ask questions, walk in. And that's what we did. And it worked. We had nice dinners and drinks and stuff and met and mingled with a bunch of people and had a good time in Vegas.
We did it.
I can't wait to come back out there and you to get us in another party.
For sure.
All right, so let's do a little demo of DealMachine.
Okay. And David, I just want to say that you still do that, whether it's like, I know that you're more not hands off than when Jeremy started, but like you still Sunday night, guys, I'll get messages from David like, we need to do this or we need to do that. So like David is always, that is his like baby. And I don't think people realize enough how much it's not just it's like your love.
Yeah. And I pay for the parties I go to now, guys. You know, I didn't have any money back in the day, so that was how we had to be scrappy and tell people about DealMachine is sneak into the parties, spread the good word.
That was poor and broke too.
Oh my gosh!
All right, y'all.
See you, Jeremy.
All right, later.
David, I'm like so happy you showed the training landing page. I don't know why I just said it like that, but I'm so glad you did. I was like, yes. Vaughn's like, do you guys have this, and this? And I'm like, yes, we do.
Oh yeah. I love it whenever we've got a solution to somebody's problem, right? That's the best part. So, Elise, you usually do a better job than me of like walking through this demo. Would you mind?
Are you just gonna slide and what am I doing?
Well, I think you usually tell me what to do, right?
Yeah. So, let's see. Today, we went over a lot of. Let's see. We already got a question. So Wade asks, when I use the enhanced search in DealMachine, will all the numbers export to put into batch? Sorry, I had a hiccup.
Yeah, so here's how you add a property. And then as soon as you do that, you can do the enhanced search. And as soon as the number comes back there, seems like it's taking longer than usual.
You can export all of this. Sorry, there's like another skip tracing service called batch, so I was like confused for a minute.
And then once you can go to your settings, and then you can export all your deals. And you can export phone numbers as well, and that's an option right here.
So that kind of leads into there's two. If you're an OG to DealMachine, you know that's where you usually export. But the other way, because we heard so much about you guys wanting to filter out leads and not keep re-downloading the same entire list. So David is going to show you really quick. You go into filter, and then at the bottom, you can actually filter by date. So this really helps you narrow down your list. You don't have to keep filtering it when you export it. So this is really nice. You click on the three dots. Well, you're going so fast. So then you download it. So yeah, so you guys can download these lists every time. So what I talk about on the lives a lot, if you guys have been on them at all, but like pick one day out of the week that you're going and you're filtering for that just 1 week. It is so overwhelming to do this. Like you're gonna, if you don't have processes in place, like you're not gonna follow up with this. Like about it. The biggest thing we see, and I think David can agree with this, is that you start off really freaking strong and you're like, yes, I got to that 200 properties. Guys, 200 properties after mail marketing, cold calling, that list is so fast and those end up being like stale. You have to keep building that pipeline. So keep that momentum going. In the beginning, make that process of like, I am driving or like I am getting 75 properties a week. Like that will lead you to getting one deal a month if you continually do that. But every week, set aside time on Mondays to go through, filter through like David just did of just that like week, and then go through, filter, export, do what you need to do, start mail. Could you show really quick, David, how to do bulk editing? Because I had a question today about could I send out mail at the same time, like instead of one by one. So go ahead, you can talk through that part.
Yeah, okay, so we've got all these deals right here. And let's say you want to start mail for all these and you just click the start mail toggle. You could even edit their mail options to change the template to the ballpoint letters. So I've got a few different templates here.
David has a lot of templates. He does not have a few templates. David is a template making machine. Guys, just so you know, David is the one who made the COVID templates for us, which I love and I personally have used.
Thank you. Yeah, so you could select one of your templates here, edit all deals, and then this is going to edit all 52 of these deals. So just do that.
Mike says show the cover template.
Okay, let's take a look at my templates. The COVID, he must have meant the COVID.
I was like, what's cover?
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry, Mike. I should have known that.
Yeah, so we've got two. Here's one.
Look at David's face. Guys, put your picture on there.
Yes, I'll show you how to put the picture on there. And then we've got another one as well.
I have a really good success story I want to tell people when you show them the picture. So, guys, I had a DealMachine member who he had a picture of him and his wife. It was like grainy, a little grainy. It was cropped and her head was chopped off right where, like on the pictures, you can see where the head's going to get chopped off. And we were talking about it and I said, man, we need to fix this. Your wife's head's chopped off. I would not give you a call back. And so he actually has two little girls. And I said, would you mind having your, you have a really nice family picture. Would you want to put that on there? Would you be okay with it? Because I think people would feel more inclined to call you. And he said, yeah, sure. That was literally a month ago. I just got a Facebook message from him today saying he got this property under contract and is making $50K plus assignment fee. And he said the lady said the reason why she called him was because of that picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything you can do to stand out is going to actually give them reason to call you. If they've got 3 different postcards on their table and 2 of them look like, they were printed out by a computer, and then yours is like the picture of their house and your photo, they're going to pick the one that stands out.
Before you leave this, David, could you just show some of the cool like personalizations you can do on your postcards, like first name and make these postcards, look how he's got signature phone number on there. Like there, you can put the person's first name to make it more personalized. We've given a lot of what do you call them? Special character autofill?
Yeah, merge fields.
Merge fields that make it so simple to make your postcards just one step more personable to that person. Personable to that person.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, I just thought that was something, and David, you can go ahead and show them how to put the picture in there. But the cool thing that I'm trying out, and I don't know, David, you've always just had your picture on there, right?
Yes.
Because when I first did it, I put my logo and then I put my picture. And the nice thing with the enterprise plan is you can have extra signatures. So I did one with my picture and one with my logo, and then I switched them off because you don't know which one's actually going to catch their attention.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go on, David.
Yeah, so this is how you add your photos. You go into your signature and then use your profile image or your company logo, either one. And then you can just change the photo right here and upload one that you want to use.
Ooh, Turner, got a great question. And I think this can also lead into the new CRM that's kind of coming out soon. Can
Right.
you upload lists to DealMachine and use the postcard feature? Absolutely. I have someone who's doing that right now. They're uploading their other lists into here and using our campaigns and marketing for that. And oh, look, there you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is not a actual list of addresses, but I just uploaded a random spreadsheet of our employees, actually. But basically, what you would do is you would map these fields from your spreadsheet to DealMachine. So you could map this field to like the address, for example. You could map, one of these fields to another field here. So that's how the importing works.
And then what's really cool is in the new CRM feature, you're going to be able to make lists so that you can separate those. It'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting.
Yeah. What else should we tell them? When you guys start driving, you want to click Start Driving.
So
you're gonna get a counter up here. It says how long you've been driving, miles, and deals added. And then when you click Stop, I didn't move, so I just removed it. But then you're going to get like an overview like this. So you can see, your driver drove 5 minutes yesterday and they added, X amount of properties. So if you're paying per property or per time, this is a great way to, you don't want to use the honor system for, time. They'll say, oh, I drove 8 hours. Maybe they only drove 7. So this is a good way to keep track of that.
that's awesome. As a newbie, I'm trying to figure out what systems you can pay for. Some have features, others don't, and vice versa. So this is cool. Yeah. Also, I feel like a lot of people don't remember that there's the highlighting feature. So maybe touch on that really quick. If you guys are wondering where to drive, maybe you're just out and you're like, I want to go driving for dollars. I have some downtime. I know as a sales rep, I had downtime that I could have gone driving. So this is a great way to figure out what's hot in the area. So David, could you talk about what you would put in this highlighting thing?
Yeah.
Like what would you want to take out of it?
Yeah. So I would do all owner types and I would do sold over 5 years ago.
Okay.
And that would be my helpful indicator while I'm driving to show me the properties that have not been purchased recently. I want to add the properties that haven't been sold recently. So those are highlighted here. And then I can go to tap to add mode. That's my favorite mode. And then I can just click to add each one of those properties.
Guys, tap to add, like I told the people on live today, I'm sorry and hashtag not sorry, because I'm really glad that a lot of you get on the lives. But literally it's get in your car, click the little arrow at the top right to lock into your location, press start driving, switch to tap to add, and go. Like that is what you need to do every single time. And Matt, don't you worry your pretty little mind. Anyways, we're going to have the recording on YouTube tomorrow for everyone. So you guys will all have access to this. Go. It's youtube.com/DealMachine. And then you guys can turn on, just subscribe or turn on notifications or something. Because I think that's how you guys can know when we upload.
Somebody said, how do you get absentee owner properties to show up? And there's an option for that right here. Although please don't ignore the owner occupied ones. I've done tons of deals. I would hate for you guys to miss out on those, but this is how you can show the absentee owned properties.
Let's see. The other thing I think people need to know about is I like going over analytics. I think I know a lot of people use different places to track your analytics. But a big thing for us that I don't think a lot of you know about is the deal statuses. And at the bottom of your analytics, you get a really great snapshot of where you're at with everything. I look at that to see how many offers I've sent and how many have actually been accepted. And then I think, okay, well, why haven't they? You know, how many are with marketing? How many aren't? How many are completed with marketing? Why are they just sitting there if I'm not doing anything with them? And then the biggest thing also, because you get a cool little email from David saying, hey, I want to talk to you, is when you click the win, like you won it, and you get freaking confetti falling from the app. And it says, hey, you won. And plus, you guys need to know your ROI. You need to see that you're making money through us. Like, you're not just investing for nothing. Sometimes the map is upside down when I wake it up from sleep. If I was driving north before it went to sleep, it would wake up facing south. That is interesting, Turner. Could you reach out to our help and support to figure that out? Because it shouldn't be doing that. And actually, I asked for it not to go to sleep. So it might be, make sure your phone doesn't automatically go to sleep. That's a big thing.
Definitely. And also, if you click this twice while you're driving, it'll follow your location and orient itself to the direction you're driving. And that may be part of the issue, that it's like waking up and defaulting to north. You might need to click so that it turns and follows your orientation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you guys need any help, you can always ask for help. If you want to request, if you want to request a feature, we've got a feature request page that you can definitely do that, and you can vote on what features that you need as well. And so we work really hard to build from this page. You can see which ones we've done so far.
Thank you guys for voting on that, because a lot of those have moved quite a lot in the last month. We've seen a lot of movement in that. And so it tells us what you guys are really wanting us to make next. Jeremy, yes, you should have been on the lives. Come on. 2:00 Eastern Standard Time. Oh, that mechanical keyboard.
Let me
You have to turn off your lock screen when driving. Yeah, that. And then I asked about that because mine kept turning to sleep mode and doing the same thing. For Chris was talking about that too. The sold over and highlights that could slow down my adding. Jeremy says it could slow down his adding. You mean like in a good way? That doesn't sound like a good way. Oh, yeah. Is there a way to highlight the absentee owner properties? Yes, Kenneth, you go to the threefold map, and then you can go down and you can click absentee owner. I am out running on construction sales appointments. Ooh, nice, Jeremy. That would be good. Yes. Good way. Yes. In Prestige LLC, thanks for the webinar. I deleted Driving for Dollars, but I'm going to give it another try. Good, because you need DealMachine instead of Driving for Dollars. We're going to be so happy to have you back. If you need anything, please let us know. For real. We are so happy to have you guys. Who has over 200 properties already? Because I've been seeing a lot of screenshots more of their 200 Hall of Fame, and it makes my heart very, very happy. Thomas, nice. Love it. Guys, I had someone, I talked to someone today, their VA added over 400 properties this last week. Virtual Driving for Dollars. Tom, are you making fun of me? It's just because I don't have a cool desk like David. I'm on my kitchen table. Oh, you're muted, David.
All right, now I'm unmuted. But Matt, yeah, everybody uses their phone. They use the desktop here mainly to manage which deals they're approving.
Yeah, definitely. I don't like doing admin work on my phone app.
And then Turner Wright wants to let everyone know they should join the DealMachine community Facebook group.
Yeah, let me pull that up.
Okay, you're going to share your screen?
Oh, sure.
Well, you're going to pull it up. I thought you were going to show them.
I was gonna just give the link, but I can pull it up here. Yeah, so join the group. I love the activity that's been going on. Oh, David, you had a quick question there. Okay.
Oh yeah, how do you know when to switch from mailers to cold call or text? I think you should just pick one and get some deals that way before you add any other marketing channels.
All right. DealMachine community page. And you guys are more than welcome to friend me. I have the same profile picture and everything for DealMachine. All right, here. I'm going to copy this and put it in her.
Put it in her.
Put it in her. Is there a video for virtual driving for dollars? So I'm actually making a new one. David has one, but we had a couple new updates since then. So actually I'm gonna make a new one to put on the YouTube, but I virtually drive for dollars every Wednesday at 2:00. If you go into the live playlist on YouTube, if you go into the live playlist on YouTube, there I am. Look, I look kind of dumb, but I get on here and I do virtual driving for dollars and I do lives every day. And I apparently smell the roses because that's what it looks like. Why are some photos blurred with the Chrome extension? Google Images, my friend. Ask them. Their car was going too fast. Tom, I am out. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks again for all this, David. Thanks, Lise. Tom, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. I'm so sorry if I say your name wrong, but Elizu added properties but didn't download. How do I get back to the added properties? Great question. Let me just get in my screen really quick. Maybe.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks, David. Isn't he a great boss, guys? He's just he knows that my love language is affirmations. So just living life over here.
Are you using a big external monitor?
Yeah. That my boss got me.
Man, whoever got you that monitor is great.
He is. He's pretty great. I asked for just a little bitty monitor. Next thing you know, there was this giant one that... All right. So when you want to go to those pictures again, you're going to go to your list view.
Mm-hmm.
And then go into this is one I took today on live. But you can go in and say, I don't want this picture to go on the front of the postcard because look, they're like with no makeup, with makeup. That's like how that goes. But anyways, you would just click on the little picture icon up at the top right, and then you can upload a new pic or get from Street Pic. How much do you guys pay your VAs to drive for dollars? So I don't have a VA that drives for dollars. I do it. But David, you suggested what, like $3, $4?
I think $4 is the right choice.
I think the people that I talked to today, they are doing $4 an hour. And I think they have them working part-time. It's only 20 hours a week. And they added 400 properties. I was like, good Lord. Good night. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Are there people who are using DealMachine strictly for the virtual driving for dollars? If yes, have they been successful? I don't know someone who's strictly virtual driving for dollars. The people that I just talked about, they're doing most of their leads driving for dollars or virtual driving for dollars because they're going with a VA. But did Brett Daniels have a guy who, that wasn't his main source though, was it? It was just one of them?
Yeah, actually one of Brent Daniels' guys had a deal that was like $50,000 and he had hired a VA to go add properties that looked run down on Google Maps and they were adding them in a DealMachine. And so then we made the extension so you could just add it straight from Google Maps in a DealMachine. Do you want to show how the extension works real quick?
Why, David, I thought you'd never ask. So first off, David makes it so simple to find this. It's just dealmachine.com/Chrome. And I know this goes without saying, but you need to be on a Chrome browser. I know that sounds silly, but you never know. So when you go into the Chrome, if you've never added an extension before, they go up here in this bar. And I'll tell you right now, it is the easiest thing ever. I literally can remove this and add it in less than a minute. So you add it, you log in just like you would for your DealMachine account. And then it'll take you to Google Maps. And people usually ask, and I'll answer this question right now, you cannot track your routes on virtual driving for dollars yet. We don't know when that might be, but we hear people talking about it. I will tell you right now, the way I do it when I drive is like, I already know I've hit up like these little pockets. I'm in Indy in the metro area. So like, you know, you guys have things. So we have Arsenal Heights, we have Inglewood, we have Tuxedo Park, Bozark Brown, we have Fountain Square, you know, so I just look at those areas and I go from left to right. And that's how I know I've hit them already. Also, when you're on your DealMachine account, and I was kind of showing people this today, when you're in the map view, you can zoom into certain areas and you'll see, here, I'll show you. You have the black dots for ones that you haven't added yet, but the ones you have added are going to turn in these little house icons. So I'll already know that I added them on the street, so I had to have been on it at one point or another. So that's just something to keep in mind. But David made this so easy. You just go, my favorite part of virtual driving for dollars, besides finding a good deal, you know, but you pick up this little yellow guy at the bottom, and man, if you're having a bad day or you just are in a goofy mood, you pick him up. Well, he's not doing it for me right now. Hold on. Moving a little slow, but you pick him up. Look at him just hanging around there. You can just swing him around and he flies around. I don't know. It's kind of fun for me. Anyways, you drop him down on a street, and it has to be blue highlighted. And I'll tell you right now, not every street is Google pick worthy. Like, they do not go down every single street. So actually, this house looks pretty good. I am also one that picks something like, yes, this grass is kept, and no, it's not horrible, but these tin awnings are like huge signs for me that I'm like, this house old. I'm gonna add it. So I open my Chrome extension, and then I get little snippets of, oh, look at that, it's absentee. Huh. So then I can add it, and I'll see any information that I might see. I can start mailers. I can do an enhanced search from here. I'll tell you guys right now, if you have your deal finders, which they can do this as well, they will not see any of the owner information though. So if you're wondering why they're not, or they wonder why they're not seeing absentee or owner occupied, that's why. If you have Street Pick on and upload a list, it's like driving for dollars and set abso-frickin-lutely. I love Street Pick for that very reason. And that's why I had someone asking me, and why I think David and I really like the tap to add is because even if we don't have time to add the picture, like, we know there's going to be a picture for it, but we didn't miss out on the property. I live in Illinois and is not legal, so I cannot drive for dollars.
Yeah. In Illinois, you need your real estate license to wholesale. So I would suggest getting your real estate license. It's not a huge time commitment in the grand scheme of things. And if you're going to do this, you need it. It's just a small little barrier to entry. You know, if anything else, it eliminates competition because it's got a little hoop for you guys to jump through in Illinois.
This just looks like a real, like, I want to add that one because it looks old. Like, anything, I'm big on. Actually, so one of our other members, like, there's a piece missing out of the fence. One of our other members, he said that he added a house because he knew it was like, oh, also pictures will be blurred out. I don't know if it's because they go and they like have a privacy thing with Google, but there are some pictures that are just blurred out. It's a thing. But he added a property because there was like an old Lincoln in the driveway, and it had really old, it was nicely kept, but it ended up being that the woman had passed away and her son needed to get rid of the house. So something to think about. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, can you show us how to skip trace through the Chrome extension?
I can. So let me just, and guys, you can do this while you're watching your favorite show. I do this while watching Golden Girls. I do this every Wednesday. Okay, So I want to add that house. It's like chipping paint. Okay. So if I wanted to skip trace through it, I can just press this little magnifying glass.
Mm-hmm.
Give her a minute because I have maybe a couple tabs open. Let me get rid of some of them.
Do you need a new computer?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, David, can I get a new computer? No, I don't need a new computer. Okay, so it just shows me that I have 3 phone numbers now. Those all are Indy area codes. That makes me feel pretty good. I got 2 email addresses from here. So this will be great. I can call them, text them. I could call them right now. I'm not going to, but I could. But yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for going through that. You're really good at that.
Thanks, David.
You're welcome.
Research.
Let's see. Is there a charge for enhanced searches? Yeah, there's a charge for skip tracing, enhanced searching. Good news though. We're actually we're going to get rid of the name enhanced search and just call it skip trace, and then we're going to lower the price to 15 cents as well. So we just got some new partnerships for that.
Ooh, that's a good question, Mike.
Can you message your deal finders in the app?
Here, I'm going to show you. So we don't have an actual like messenger, but what you can do is say I go into a lead and I want to ask one of my deal finders about this, like why did they take a selfie of themselves? I can just and then I can type in their name.
Oh, do it again.
Oh, did it show it?
There you go. Yeah.
So then I can just tap that and be like,
Then post it.
What is this? Oh my gosh, she's going to message me and be like, what are you doing? There. And so then I can post it.
I bet very few people knew about the app mention.
They probably did.
She gets a push notification.
She does. She gets a push notification. I'm going to get a message from her shortly saying, what is this? Or why did you do this? But I've been chatted with through DealMachine as well. And it's a good way to just keep them in touch too on, if you do hear a call back and it's their property, like shoot them a quick little message through there and say, hey, this person called me back. They get to know about that. Mm-hmm. Here, this is my first touch point, guys. It's the COVID mailer. Look at that overgrown house. Yes.
Love it.
Virtual driving for dollars at its best, people.
Mm-hmm. Well, any other questions, guys? Appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. Hope you had as much fun as we did.
For sure. Remember, tomorrow, live here on DealMachine. Well, not here, but on YouTube, we have me, and we're going to be going over more things. You guys have more questions. I'll do some virtual driving for dollars as well. But my biggest thing is I also want to be able to hold each other accountable. And we build relationships through the lives too, which I really enjoy. And I love seeing some of you on here as well. So love you, fam.
Appreciate you. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Make sure to add 200 properties as fast as you can.
Yes.
Follow up with everyone over 3 months. You need to be hitting them at least every 3 to 4 weeks during that time period. So to get a deal, you should realistically budget for like $600 over that course of time.
Yeah. The guy who just made the $50K assignment fee, like that was a month ago, but he had a ton of leads. Mm-hmm. and he made that postcard solid. And that's mm-hmm. that's not the only one he has in his campaign. So.
All right, guys, signing off. Appreciate you, and we'll see you tomorrow.